Okay, so welcome to Eat, Move, Think, the show about optimal wellness brought to you by Medcan.
Wow. Do it again.
Oh, I was practicing. Okay, ready?
Welcome
to Eat, Move, Think,
the show about
Optimal
wellness brought to you by
Medcan.
Yeah, this is extremely good. Thank you.
We're coming up to the end of the year.
Lots of stuff's going on. Parties, holidays.
And New Year's resolutions.
Yes.
Which ties into gym attendance. And we both know we've gone through this where the start of the year fitness facilities are very busy.
Yeah.
And then it drops off over time. It goes spike in January. Then actually, if you look at the research, it persists through to the end of March and then tails down after that. So there's all this energy at the start of the year. People are excited to work out, to get fit.
Mm-hmm.
And there is this subset of people who are still at it, doing their strength training exercises, doing their aerobic exercise.
Yeah, they've really built it into their life. Like, it's not a trend or a fad. It's just a lifestyle now for them.
It's their habit.
Yeah.
And so this episode is all about how do you harness that energy to become a long-term exerciser?
I wonder if there was somebody out there who was an expert in helping the rest of us keep that habit and turn that first month into a lifetime of fitness.
Totally. Who could we ask?
Oh. Hey, guys.
Medcan actually has one of the largest personal training facilities in the country and has 30 fitness trainers who work every day and have helped, thousands of people over the years develop the lifelong exercise habit. Hey, I'm Chris.
I'm Jazz. We're the producers of Eat, Move, Think.
And today we have a special episode that looks forward to 2023 to help you
get fit and stay fit
in the upcoming 12 months. And we have more people in this episode on the mic at the same time than we have ever had in the Eat, Move, Think studio. On the mics today, we have fitness manager Anna Topali
and fitness manager Tyler Kerr. The two of them are leading a discussion with Medcan fitness team leads. We have Hamza Khan,
Sean Trotman,
Simon Lim,
Errol Ivanov,
and Stephanie Zemis.
I'm really excited about this episode. I'm going to use this to propel my own, fitness.
Yeah. I mean, if we have 7 fitness leads on the show today, imagine how many tips you'll be getting. So there are lots.
Amazing. I'm looking forward to it. Let's get to it. Here is Anna Topali starting the conversation.
Hi, everyone. I'm Medcan Fitness Manager Anna Topali.
And I'm Medcan Fitness Manager Tyler Kerr. This episode is for people who have made the resolution to get fit. They've made a promise to themselves, whether it's lose 5 pounds, whether it's get to the gym every day, they've made a resolution to improve their health. And today, we're going to be providing some tips. What can you do to make your lifestyle improvement permanent? To ensure you're one of the people who is still at the gym in March and in June and on into 2024 and beyond. First off, let's introduce our fitness team leads. With us today, we have Hamza Khan. Hamza, how are you?
Thank you, Tyler. I'm doing very well. How are you?
Great.
Just to give you a little background on my training history, I've been a personal trainer for 20 years, and I've worked with clients of all levels, from big box gyms to Medcan, which I think has the premier fitness studio in the city.
That's great, Hamza. Let's move on with Sean Trotman.
I've been here at Medcan for 13 years, a trainer for 16, and I'm looking forward to sharing my wealth of knowledge and insights on this topic.
Next, we have Simon Lim. Simon, how are you? Tell us a bit about yourself.
I'm good, thanks. Hi, everyone. I'm Simon Lim. I've been a trainer for over 12 years, originally from Scotland, Glasgow, taking courses from Scotland to England, all the way from Canada to Australia. So a lot of experience with online coaching and been with Medcan for the last 3 years.
Awesome. Next, we have Stephanie Zemis. Tell us a bit about yourself.
Yeah, my name is Stephanie Zemis. I have been a trainer for about 6 or 7 years now. I'm one of the newer gang members on the team, but I'm excited to share my knowledge and kind of growing up in the athletic world. It's fun to kind of get people's perspectives on all that kind of jazz.
And finally, we have Errol Ivanov. Errol, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good.
My name's Errol. I've been at Medcan for 10 years, and I've been a trainer for about 6 years. I graduated from the University of Toronto with a kinesiology degree, and I'm happy to share my experiences training at Medcan and other companies as well.
So before we get to the tips, let's set the scene a little bit. Basically, lots of people start fitness regimens within the new year, and then by the spring, there's only a really small proportion of them that actually continue. So what do we think is going on? We're going to start the discussion off with Simon. What proportion of people who start a regimen early in January are still at it by March 1st, do you think?
Okay, well, I worked with several types of different gyms. The first gym that I worked in was a budget gym where we probably paid about $10 a month. And January, we had about 10,000 members. By March, we were only servicing 3,000. So it was only a 70% drop-off rate, 30% retention rate.
Wow.
I would say that's more down to lack of investment, but also lack of risk. If you want to stick with the gym, the more commercial gyms that I worked in, people invested a bit more. I would say you're looking about 50, 60% stay in the gym. Part of that is more investment. So they are taking more risk. They want to get more value of money. Ultimately, moving on to a private gym where the retention rate is probably 90%, only 10 people drop off.
That's a really, really good point.
Hamza, do you want to tackle this one?
Just the idea of the majority of people falling off at gyms. I think it has to do with just having no idea what they're doing and why.
Yeah.
So you're going in blind a lot of times and
unrealistic results.
Yeah. And I think personal training is a luxury for most people, but in the beginning, it's a necessity. If you're going in blind and not having structure, not having an idea why you're doing certain exercises, it can really, damage your ability to meet your goals, whatever those are. So just having that in mind, knowing what to do and seeking out that knowledge if you don't have it.
Steph, what's your opinion on that?
Also being okay with not knowing. Like, it's okay to not know, to not have all the answers. Part of the process of starting a fitness journey is also figuring it out for yourself. Like, you don't have to know every workout. This is why people who work in the gym work there, so that they can give that to you versus you coming in and having every single thing ready to go. Be patient with yourself more than anything else, because it does happen. It just takes time. It's not an instantaneous change of events where all of a sudden after a week, you're going to know everything and you're super fit and shredded and it's all over.
Hamza?
Yeah, and I think that idea of patience is huge because it can work on, again, many levels. Like, you're going to have those moments where you're in your car and you don't want to go in the gym. I know I've had several of those moments, right? I think we all have. You're probably fighting off millions of years of evolution of not wanting to go and expand that energy, but that feeling is a very natural thing. It's a way for your body to conserve energy, and that's why we feel that way when we're in the parking lot and taking our last sip of pre-workout or coffee and not wanting to go in, but being okay with that and accepting that.
I will touch on for patients, kind of like expectation versus reality. Mm-hmm. A lot of people will start kind of Jan 1. You'll walk into the gym, you're thinking after 3 weeks, you're going to look like the guy that's been there for over 10 years. It's a slow process to make lasting change. And I think a lot of people, especially in today's society where everything's so instantaneous, they kind of get this idea that, if I go to the gym for a month, I'm going to look like, Schwarzenegger. It doesn't happen that fast. And a lot of people, I think, get discouraged from that. And that's kind of a big reason as well as why there's such big groups in January. And even by February, they're gone. So people just have this augmented reality of how long it takes to make actual change. Sean Trotman.
I've had that conversation, especially with female clients who go through the first week or 2 week of their weight loss and they see a big drop initially and they're like, oh my God, I'll be on my target in 6 weeks. I'm like, hold your horses, wait. This weight loss is going to taper down. It's going to slow down. So settle in for the long haul. You're more likely to be around a year to hit your target. So just setting realistic expectations, like Tyler said, and having them settle into that pursuit of the results rather than just expecting it to be instantly.
So then if we break down basically, what do you think differentiates the people that do end up sticking with it long term versus the ones that don't? Like, what are these traits that these people have that most do not?
I think habit. I've told tons of my clients this is motivation is really great, but it doesn't stick around at all. So you have to build up a habit and rely on that habit to move forward for the rest of your life. Motivation is great when it's around and it helps you, but at the end of the day, if you haven't built your habit, it's not going to stick around. And that's when you see people do that drop off of they're relying on all of this like pent up motivation, like, oh, I'm going to get so fit. This is a new year, new me, New Year's resolutioner type of a thing. And then they realize that they haven't built a habit. They have no idea what they're doing. And now come 3 weeks later, they're like, okay, maybe not. We're going to pass on that one.
Sean, you got this one?
We love having that energy of enthusiasm and motivation, but that motivation has to be paired with a strong habit formation. That habit formation is going to carry you long term. It's going to carry you beyond the moments of not despair, but discouraged feelings of, oh, I gained a pound rather than lost a pound, or I didn't hit the weight I was supposed to hit this week, or I wasn't able to hit the time for my 5K, right? So those habits of staying with the process and working through it, that's going to carry you up and beyond those thresholds rather than just motivation.
And I'll even add to that. I think within that excitement and that motivation and that New Year's, like new year, new me, like we said, I think it's also really important to set your expectations and be realistic with those expectations, because it's easy to just set this like laundry list of all these things that you want to accomplish within like whatever time frame. And for most people, it's like, a few months. But that's not realistic. It becomes overwhelming. And then you're walking into the gym and you're constantly reminding yourself of all these things that you want to accomplish. But let's just like break that down. Let's slow it down. Let's just like one thing, get comfortable doing that one thing and then build on that.
On that note, a lot of goals can't be achieved at the exact same time. So like people are losing weight, trying to build muscle at the same time. Things can contradict each other. If you have someone that's educated, you can break those goals down to a time frame. And then you have your 6 months, 12 months time frame, but you're directing your goals each month towards a specific one rather than trying to do 10 things at once.
Exactly, Simon. It's kind of like when you're making your goals. If you have this laundry list of I'm going to eat clean, I'm going to work out 6 days a week, I'm going to get 2 runs in, I'm going to do my laundry, I'm going to get my tax. If you have this long list of things you want to accomplish, you can't focus your attention on one of them and they all get lost. So it's kind of like habit stacking, right? You do it for a month. Say a month you're going to prepare your own lunch. You bring your lunch to work every day. Great. Now you can add something to that list. So maybe it's I'm going to hit the gym at 6 a.m. every 3 days a week. That becomes a habit. Then you add the next one. So it's just kind of doing it in chunks and not trying to make an overhaul change kind of January 1st and expect it to stick. It just doesn't work that way. Hamza, do you want to tackle this one?
There's a huge problem, like John Berardi's Canadian personal trainer, you guys know him, in the pharmaceutical industry, and I want to quote him properly because I don't want to take credit for this, but what he said really changed the way my perspective is on fitness. Pharmaceutical companies spend millions and millions of dollars because they're trying to find out why there's a 50% drop-off rate of patients not taking their medication. These are things that are literally going to prolong their life, make them live longer, and there's a 40 to 50% non-compliance rate. And a lot of times it's because the patient walks into the doctor's room and the doctor doesn't ask them how likely are they to take this medication 3 times a day. In fitness, it's the same thing, right? Like if you're a personal trainer and you give your client a workout regimen to do on their own and you ask them how likely are you to do it, and their answer is 2 out of 10, and you sign it anyway, well, who's the idiot in that conversation? So it's about sort of understanding that you got to meet people where they are and you got to sort of balance what they need with what they want to do. What's going to make them most consistent is going to be things that they enjoy doing. That's the biggest way to keep people going in my mind.
Errol?
One thing that I think helps with retention is if you have a good quality trainer that kind of understands the difference between extrinsic and intrinsic motivational factors. So I find that a lot of trainers and clients say they want to reach goals based on extrinsic factors, like they want to look a certain way, they want to reach X way. But sometimes people, they more emotionally resonate to things that are important to them. So for example, like Anna was saying, someone is more likely to come in consistently if they're looking to meet a goal that's important to them. So, I want to play with my grandkids, I want to be able to keep up with them when I'm older. That's more likely to motivate them long term rather than, I want to look a certain way for X person. That tends to die off a lot quicker. It's not like meaningful to them.
The real success is when the client switches from I'm hitting this goal to I'm working on myself. Because when you're working on yourself, you can always work on yourself. There's no end to it. It's just whenever you've got spare time, you can get better, you can get stronger, you can get more focused. But it's a process that you keep going back to. It shouldn't ever be I'm going to do this for 3 months and that's it. and done.
So we've heard the barriers and obstacles that can kind of get in the way of people maintaining a regular kind of fitness regimen. But I'm sure we all have some success stories here. We've been in the industry long enough. We have those knights in shining armor that have kind of come through and stuck with it. Simon, I think you said you have a great one that you'd like to share with us.
Yeah, I had a great story of a guy. So my client was 92 years old. He said he didn't really do any exercise. All he wanted to do was ski once a year. But when I put him through his movement patterns, his squat, his lunge, his twist, his plank, he was solid. And then I asked him again, I was like, hey, your movement patterns are great. What do you do? And he's like, I don't do any exercises. He worked in an office all his life. He wasn't very mobile. And then he's like, but I do my morning stretches. And I was like, okay, what are your morning stretches? And his morning stretches where he got out of bed, he did 10 squats. He did arm raises. He did a couple of jump jacks, step jacks, a couple of push-ups, twists. He tilted his neck, full range of motion, twisted his hips, full range of motion, twisted his knees, full range of motion. And then that was it. Took him 5 minutes. And he did that every single day. And I was like, this is fantastic. I was like, where did you learn this? And he said, he was like, well, my dad taught me it and he learned it in the First World War. And I don't know about you guys, but when I was growing up listening to grandparents and everyone, they talked about morning stretches all the time. They talked about their routines, but they didn't talk about their morning stretches as if, oh, I do this to stay fit. It was just what they felt like they had to do. You know, and we've drifted away from that in the last 60 years, but we're wanting to get back to it. You know, people are starting to understand, whoa, mobility is a thing. Why? Because it's only in the last 60 years we've really started to lose it. So that was my success story from someone that didn't do much exercise, but did 5 minutes a day for, you know, I would probably say about 90 years. It worked.
It's amazing.
Did he ski?
He did ski in Colorado once a year.
Fabulous.
I mean, that's a perfect example of that movement is medicine. People think that you need to do hours and hours of exercise a day, but you really don't. And he was 92 years old. He did 5 minutes a day, and he was better off than people, which is most people now that sit for 12 hours a day.
And even in terms of just simplicity, like we get, you know, all these advertisements for different equipment and machines and bands and whatever else. It's like, no, like you could do so many things with just your own body weight for that little amount of time a day. And it's still a great start. So then how do we summarize what works and what doesn't? So is there anything proactive that can help set the stage for this long-term success and this habit formation that we've already touched on this far? Hamza?
It's really easy. I think one word to describe it would be sustainability. Anything you do, whether it's eating, you know, exercise, activity, movement, whatever you want to call it, even just, you know, bringing lunch to work every day. And then maybe after that, having one vegetable in your lunch per day. Like that would be a great way to stack that like simple task. And then you can expand from that, but it's got to be sustainable.
Errol?
I think the biggest predictor of whether someone's successful with exercise long-term is picking stuff that they like to do. When you like to do something, you don't view it as a nuisance or something that you have to get out the way. You're going to do it because you intrinsically like it and you kind of get lost in the moment. You enjoy it, whether it's playing sports, bowling, golf.
I'd say planning's another big one. You have to build around the habit you want to create and not try and squeeze it into your day. So for exercise, I mean, if you're a morning person, then put it in your schedule, like at the gym, 6 a.m. to 7. Because I find like if you don't, it's one of the easiest things to kind of push to the wayside because, you know, life's busy. People are busy, work, kids, everything. So you have to plan. So put it in the calendar. Hamza, what do you got?
There's this other variable, guys, that I think is also very important. It's your epigenetics. So it's kind of understanding how your environment influences your makeup, literally. And so there's going to be certain activities you tend to skew towards. So just understanding that you're going to have certain clients that don't like weightlifting. And okay, so how are you going to bias their anatomy and physiology? You know, everybody needs some variability in terms of how they train and whatnot, and can be a really cool way to get clients to, or even people to stick with a regimen.
So to distill the wide-ranging conversation, what would you say are the 3 most surprising but effective things to remember when you're looking to start an exercise habit?
Errol, do you want to take this one?
So the easiest way to meet your exercise needs are something called exercise snacks. Because according to Canada's health guidelines, physical activity, you want 150 minutes of exercise per week, which can be defined in different ways, but 50 to 70% of your heart rate max would be classified as that. So if you're doing little exercise throughout the day, whether you're sitting at a desk, you get up, you do 5 to 10 minutes of squats, push-ups, that will add on over time to help you meet those needs, rather than if you feel like you can't go to the gym for an hour every week or 3-4 times a week, adding those snacks in will help kind of meet your exercise goals long term, or at least make sure you're getting some of the benefits of exercise.
Working at Medcan, you tend to have a demographic that's a bit advanced in age. So now is the time you need to take care of yourself, cut the cholesterol, get more active, get rid of the sedentary behavior, and just start to look at the next stage of life as a proactive approach to health and wellness. So that's where I feel a lot of my clients have been able to solve the problem or issue with consistency and staying on track long term.
My dad, for most of his life, so he got diabetes type 2 diagnosed when he was 28 years old. He's 75. So what I've done with him is I've just said, Dad, eat a little bit less every meal. Move a little bit more. So he doesn't, in the winter, like right now, he's not going to go out. So I tell him to walk around the house and sleep a little bit more. That's it. Those 3 things. Sleep a bit more, eat a little bit less, move around the house a bit more. Simple for him, and he's been compliant. And his sugars used to be always like above 10, 11, 12, which is really bad. But now he's at like a constant 5, 6 just by doing those 3 things.
I think to feed off of that, small changes or small habits for big change and long-term change. So you don't need to right away do the most and work out for 3 hours at a time. Like drink 1 extra glass of water, take 100 more steps during the day, get up every hour and walk around your desk 3 times. Like do things that are small, but that will get you further into your journey.
And off what Hamza said, keep it simple. Same applies to the exercise you're doing. I know there's a lot of social media presence with fitness nowadays, and you see a lot of different things. But at the end of the day, the fundamentals are what's going to get you the most results. So, squatting, lunging, pushing. If you're doing that regularly and you have some intensity built in, that is going to yield you the most results rather than trying to do a mixture of different movements that don't look like they make sense.
Simon, what do you think?
I would say education's huge. Educate yourself, figure out why you're doing certain exercises, watch your YouTube videos, buy books, hire a trainer so that they can educate you. They can do your research for you. You're going to get more clarity on your goals. And I feel like it's the clarity in the goals being attached to what you want to achieve. That is what gives you your motivation when you don't want to keep coming. But if you don't know why you're doing something, it's going to be hard to keep doing it. So just educate yourselves as much as possible, whether it's through the media, through the internet, wherever you can get your hands on.
Love it. That was way more than 3 examples. We could spend the whole day with even more. So that's it for this episode. Again, I'm fitness manager Anna Topali.
And I'm fitness manager Tyler Kerr. And with Medcan's fitness team leads, we have Hamza Khan, Sean Trotman, Simon Lim, Stephanie Zemis, and Errol Ivanov.
Thanks for listening. Stay well, everybody.
Those were fitness managers Anna Topali and Tyler Kerr leading a discussion with Medcan fitness team leads Hamza Khan, Sean Trotman, Simon Lim, Stephanie Zemis, and Errol Ivanov.
Looking for expert personalized guidance on how you can achieve your fitness goals? Email fitness@medcan.com.
We'll post episode highlights and links that you can visit on our website, eatmovethinkpodcast.com, and follow Medcan on Twitter and Instagram @MedcanLiveWell.
Say hello and send us a tip or a suggestion by emailing us at info@eatmovethinkpodcast.com.
Eat Move Think is produced by Ghost Bureau. I'm Jasmine Ratch, managing producer. Social media and strategy support is from Chantel Gertin, Andrew Imix, and Emily Bozick.
Executive producer is me, Christopher Shulgin.
We'll be back soon with a new episode examining the latest in health and wellness.
This podcast is intended to provide general information about health and wellness only and is not designed or intended to constitute or be used as a substitute for medical advice, treatment, or diagnosis. You should always talk to your Medcan healthcare provider for individual medical advice, diagnosis, and treatment, including your specific health and wellness needs. This podcast is based on the information available at the time of preparation and is only accurate and current as of that date. Source information and recommendations are subject to change based on scientific evidence as it evolves over time. Medcan is not responsible for future changes or updates to the information and recommendations and assumes no obligation to update based on future developments. Reference to or mention of specific treatments or therapies does not constitute or imply a recommendation or endorsement. The links provided within the associated document are to assist the reader with the specific information highlighted. Any third-party links are not endorsed by Medcan.